Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the world of Neurographica. My name is Lana. Shalom. And I'm here today with you to lead a series of wonderful 4 sessions that we will lead out for the next few weeks. And the sessions are entitled Elul, E-L-U-L. Before we go on about what Elul is and discuss something wonderful that we can do today, I would like to tell you a bit more about myself. My name is Lana Shalom. I'm a certified Neurographica instructor and coach, in addition to being a certified Neurographica instructor and leading various coaching practices and groups. I'm also a certified advanced Hooponopono practitioner, facilitator. I created various interesting integrative practices based upon Hooponopono method. And we're going to use both wonderful methods, the method of Neurographica and the Hooponopono today within our transformative practice as we delve into what is Elul. Elul is the last month in the lunar calendar, the Jewish lunar calendar, and next month in about, I would say 3 weeks, we are starting a new cycle. It's called Rosh Hashanah. It's a holiday of the new year. It actually translates more specifically as the head of the year. But that's something we're going to actually discuss when we get to that holiday. Today we're going to discuss the month before. Month before is called Elul. I just want to take a second. Let me go to Facebook. Make sure, since I'm going live, I want to make sure that you guys can actually see me. And number 2, I want to make sure if anybody's writing any comments, I will be able to see you. So let's explain everything. Okay, what is Elul? Elul is very significant. I would actually transfer my camera now. Some of you sometimes when on Facebook, when somebody transfer the camera, you may get like a freeze. Just restart your computer, okay? I'm going to transfer my camera so we can actually draw as we talk, right? Because that's what we practice in Neurographica. In Neurographica, people who practice it start noticing that it's more fun, it's more interesting, it's much more valuable in a way to start drawing, or we call it neuro note taking, right? Whenever you want to, take notes and then you start adding the symbols, and it will allow your brain to actually absorb the information much readily, okay? As we discuss in Neurographica, the neural lines resemble the neural waves, the ways the brain neurons look like. Let me transfer my camera. In a second. Mm-hmm. One second. Okay, here we are. Like I said, like when I look at my Facebook, I have a Facebook page open. Usually when I transfer my camera, I kind of have to restart it, right? Excellent. Let's start doing this, okay? Let's start bringing this in. Excellent. So let's start discussing what is Elul. What do we talk about Elul? Elul in English and in Hebrew, actually, right? It consists of 4 letters, okay? I'll give you a Hebrew version as well. Elul, okay? Okay, and so this is the name of the month, right? Just like we have names of the month in English, right? We have January, we have February, right? Just to give you a quick synapse that the Jewish calendar also consists of 12 months, just like solar calendar, like, the calendar we all follow. Yet Jewish year, it's interesting to note in the Jewish calendar, we have four beginnings, right? There's a beginning in spring when Passover starts, that's considered to be a new year, right? In Nisan, the month of Passover is considered to be the time of when new year starts, right? And then the new year starts also in Rosh Hashanah, like we said, in the fall, right? When usually in the English calendar, it corresponds to around like August, September. This year is going to be September 6th, actually Labor Day in America, right? In the evening, that's when Rosh Hashanah starts. It signifies the start of a whole new cycle of year, okay? We also say there is a new year of the trees. It's called Tu B'Shvat. It's customary on that day to draw various trees. I mean, to plant various trees. It's customary for me to draw various trees because I practice the method of Neurographica. And it's you actually can see a number of videos I did on Neuro trees, which is an amazing, amazing, beautiful algorithm within my open as open sessions within my YouTube channel, Lana, Shalom. So it's interesting to see that one of the beginnings, right, is called Rosh Hashanah. Now, the month before Rosh Hashanah is considered to be a month of introspection, is a month when we're supposed to kind of cleanse ourselves, renew ourselves. And it's interesting to know, this is what I want to bring to you. It's the last month of the year, right? Now, what do usually people do before New Year? People usually start thinking, what are my resolutions for the next year? What people rarely do is thinking, wait a minute, before I set up new resolutions, what happened to my previous resolution? Where are they? What's happening there? And do I need to do something about it? Do I need to understand where I stand so I can learn kind of my lesson, understand where I'm going further? And that's interesting about Elul. Elul is a month of completion. That's what we're going to call it, right? Month of completion. When we start something, right? Again, like before New Year, people are so excited because it's a start of something new, a start of a new cycle, a start of a new year. It's something new. And that makes people excited, right? Now, in Judaism, we start thinking, it's amazing, the new year is coming, but before we focus on the new year, what have I accomplished, right, this year? Accomplishments. We'll look at our accomplishments. We'll look at everything we do, okay? It's customary for people to sit down and actually make a list, what's happening with me, what have I achieved, is there anything that's hanging in the air? And people do it within various areas in their life, relationships, business, spiritual growth. We're actually going to do that next session. I'm inviting you, we're going to do a wheel of balance or a wheel of life, as they call. But what I'm going to do today is we're going to, before we go to the wheel of balance, I kind of want to discuss something else with you guys. I want to discuss this importance of understanding that, closure, right? What they call in psychology closure. You need closure before you move on to some things. A lot of times people start projects or start doing something, and for whatever reason, right? Life, lots of things they need to do. There's, life carries on. You tend to get overwhelmed, or other kind of situations evolve, and you don't finish what you started, right? A lot of people, I don't know how about you, I know a lot of people, I have a lot of clients who start that, they start a project, whether it's something like a startup, like a business idea, whether it's like something learning, right? Trainings, right? That's my thing. I love trainings, I love to learn something new. I buy courses and then I kind of put it aside, thinking I will learn when I get time, right? I buy it on sale. And then right now, I think I have accumulated maybe 5 or 6 trainings that I either started or I didn't even start, but I need to complete, right? So that happens. That's very interesting to know. So what we are going to focus in this series, we're going to focus on completion, right? Figuring out, is this something we started? Where do we stand within it? Do we need to complete it? Or do we need to actually tell ourselves, I need to put it on hold. I will come back to it in a certain period of time. Now, a lot of times when you start something new, remember something new is exciting. When you get excited, you start accumulating, or rather finding within yourself a resource, a huge resource of energy. Okay. We know that people start something and they get excited and there's so much energy within it. And then once you go further, it kind of slows down. However, we need to understand this energy, this surge of energy that we find when we start something, and that happens, right? When people start something new, they find new strength within themselves. And that surge of energy, that strength, starts, being invested in this new idea. And when that idea kind of stalls, for whatever reason, again, we're not saying, things happen in life. It's the way things work, right? Sometimes life brings up situations, or you have more impending matters in life that you need to take care. And your project kind of stalls, it's put on hold. However, that huge surge of energy that you invested, it kind of becomes stuck within that project. If you don't come back to it and start, making actual conscious, decisions about it, saying, I think I am getting back to this because I want to complete it. Or the opposite, you know what, I really don't have time. I have more impending matters, my son is getting married, or my daughter is graduating, or sending kids to school now, or my boss at my job is telling me I really need to pay attention to my work, or I'm moving into a new house, anything, right? You need to understand that you need to come back and say, thank you. You need to kind of consciously treat this new entity, this new beginning within your life, which at this point is not new anymore, right? Because you started, but you kind of left it. So it's important to understand that coming back and discussing this energy, kind of understanding that there is an energy that's been invested. And if you leave it, it's kind of stuck. And it's a huge surge of energy. That's an energy that's a part of your life. Saying coming back and completing, right? Or putting a closure, or saying, I need to pay attention to something else. But this project, and you can look at it. Sometimes you look at projects that are half done and you say, you know what? I got everything I needed to get out of this. I don't want to continue this project. It doesn't interest me anymore. And that's okay. It doesn't occupy me anymore. It's not as exciting anymore. That happens. But then we need to give it closure. We need to say, thank you. I learned this and that from this project, from this startup. I want to continue. I'm starting something new. I'm learning, this project brought me to a new realization, new profession, new topic. And once you do that, you kind of give closure to your projects, okay? And that's what we're going to do in this series of sessions. We're going to figure out what is happening with us. Where are we? Where are our projects? What did we start past year? And then once we understand whether something we started, we complete it, is it in the completion cycle? Is it in the middle cycle and we want to close it up, or we want to leave it on the back burner, so to say, and say, you're not soup yet, you're not stew yet, kind of brew a little bit more? Or do we want to kind of say, I'm done with this topic. I want to move on. I'm going further. And that's okay to do too. And then, of course, the last session number 4, we're going to talk about our new resolutions. We're going to make new resolutions for the new year. We're going to discuss, where are we? Where were we? And where can we go further? Okay. That's just my, kind of an explanation of what's happening with us for the next few sessions, next 4 sessions. So the sessions will take place, I believe it's on Tuesdays, right? This week, today is the 17th. So the next one we have is 8:24, and then the last one will be 8:31. That will be at 10 a.m. And then the last session, we will actually hold it on 9:05, which is the day before Rosh Hashanah. And that will be, I believe, it's a Sunday. So I said I'll make it at 11 a.m. Okay, I think 11 or no, yeah, not 12, 11 a.m. Okay, we'll see. Maybe I'll make it again at 10 a.m. We'll see how it's going to work. 10 or 11. Okay, just follow the group. I will be making announcements, of course, and everything else. Now, I want to tell you a bit more. Let's delve a bit more into the Jewish mysticism, the Jewish philosophy. Let's discuss this month that we call Elul. Okay, Elul has a great mystical meaning. It has a lot of interesting, besides the fact that within this month, we discuss the completion, right? Like we mentioned, it's important to come back and complete, figure out, introspect, start thinking what I started, what happened to me this past year. Is it something that, do I want to continue in the next year, or do I want to close it and say goodbye? Thank you and goodbye, of course. Elul is an abbreviation. Some sages say that Elul is an abbreviation for Enila Dodi Vedodili. In English, this verse from Solomon's Proverbs, called the Song of Songs, is translated as I am to my beloved as my beloved to me. Okay, so it's a very mystical. There are books written. This is M. There are books written. There are explanation, lots and lots of explanation on this verse alone, as well as the whole book. This is taken from the famous Solomon's book, one of the books written by Solomon, called the Song of Songs. The Song of Songs is an amazing, if any of you want to read it, I recommend finding it in the English translation. Of course, if you're not, well-versed in Hebrew, you find it, you read it. It's an amazing book that it's like a song. Of course, it's in rhymed area. Like, I don't know if it's rhymed, according to the poetry standards, but in Hebrew language, it's considered to be a wonderful poem. And it describes this story of a woman, a beautiful woman who's searching for somebody she wants to love, for that significant someone, for somebody to be with, right? She's searching for her half, I would say, right? And she describes how she's looking for him all over the place. She describes various geographical locations, she described various placements. And she talks about finally finding him and, spending some time with him. And then he kind of disappears and she starts looking for him again. And it's interesting. So a lot of people, when they read this book, they find it to be so interesting and they get very surprised at this beautiful book that talks about love. It's very, some people describe it to be very sensual, right? It has like this beautiful allegories of love and relationships, explanations and, interactions between beloved people, people read it and they're like, wow, you would never think Judaism would have something so, not explicit, but so graphical explanation of this, this yearning and this kind of looking for love and then finding and losing it and finding it again. So remember after reading it, I started finding, I became interested. I wanted to learn more about this. And of course, as I started studying, I found out that most of the sages say that this is an allegory. It's an allegory of a search, of a person's search. It's an allegory. It's about the relationship between God and human being, okay? Okay, it's an allegory of love between God and the person. Okay, it's an allegory how a person is looking for that something, he's looking for something fulfilling, something where somebody in the poem, it's somebody who can fully understand, who can fully connect with them. And if you start reading, it's beautiful. In translation, by the way, it's just as beautiful as originally. And they describe how they find that somebody, that beloved, right? And they connect, they understand each other, they fulfill each other, right? This, I personally love this symbol, right? The yin and the yang, right? Where one side is dark, one side is light, and it's a connection, right? By the way, and I will explain to you why I brought this specific symbol here, because it has a significance. So again, in Hebrew, this verse says, Ani ledodi vedodi li. 4 words, okay? Ani ledodi vedodi li. Interesting to know that all 4 words have one ending letter. That letter is called the letter Yud, okay? Letter U, okay? For many, many years, and I recently, especially as I started studying Neurographica, I come upon the symbol as we study the course of neurocolor, when we studied the 5 element, the Chinese medicine. And of course, the element of yin and yang comes up. And I always, as everybody else, perceive this as a symbol of Eastern Chinese medicine, Eastern philosophy, Eastern integrative practices. Until recently, a friend of mine have wrote to me a beautiful explanation that when you look at this letter, it actually, I believe that this came from the explanation of Rabbi Dover Pinson. He's amazing. I'm reading much of what I'm telling you today about Elul is based on his book. I do want to kind of give gratitude to where it's due. Amazing book. He created a series of books on the significance of each month. His name is Rav Pinson. And one of the explanations that I heard that, look at the letter, look at the way this black part looks, right? It looks like the letter Yud. This is the letter Yud, okay? It's interesting to know the Yud is the 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Number 10 is a significance because it says that with 10 phrases, the world was created, that God originally during Genesis created the world with Hebrew letters, with Hebrew phrases, with Hebrew words. And with 10th phrase, of course, the last day, the 7th day was created. And that's significant of the letter Yud, because Yud is the 10th letter. Yud is the smallest letter. And Yud is what will, Yud, every letter in the Hebrew alphabet comprises of letter Yud, okay? It's like a part of it, okay? Yud kind of extends itself and completes different letters. We'll actually discuss this more. I'm planning to make a series of wonderful Neurographica based sessions on the Hebrew alphabet, which, will have a lot of significance, meaning, which I think you will enjoy. Today, I just want to kind of quickly go through it. We're not focusing because we want to follow further. So interesting, the phrase again, 4 letters, 4 phrases. I am to my beloved as my beloved to me, okay? In Hebrew, again, it's 4 words. Number 4, okay? We keep saying the word 4. And here's the significance I want to bring you, okay? 4 words, 4 phrases. And that's an allegory to the 4 worlds, okay? Now I advise you, as we're gonna draw now, you can take a paper that you would like to use to draw on, okay? As I'm gonna discuss the 4 world with you, and we're gonna integrate it into a drawing, okay? The four worlds, which four worlds are we referring to? Some of you may know it, some of you, may not know it, but probably were aware of it on subconscious level. We have four worlds in this universe, in our universe, in which we, Kabbalistically based, Judaica based, many other integrative practices based. This is the world, okay? We're going to draw the four circles. You can use your hand. I'm kind of used to drawing a lot of circles. You can use a circular if you want to, of course. The four worlds will kind of overlap a bit like this. They are going, they are kind of stack upon each other vertically. Sometimes the circles do not come out, but that's fine. This is Neurographica. We will fix the shapes and, as we draw. And the last circle on top, okay? The last circle, you can make it like this, the last circle should actually be more, like half shown, half presented on the paper. I'll explain to you why, because these four worlds are corresponding to the physical world, right? This is the world we live in. This is where we have our body. In this world, everything goes according to certain physical laws, the laws of physics, right? If I put my hand on the table, it's not going to fall through because table is a hard object, right? It's a hard material. But if I take my paper, I can bend it because paper is made out of different physical entity, right? Different molecules. So this is a bendable entity. My pen is not bendable. My hand is bendable, but that's according to the rules of biology, according to the fingers that I have, the knuckles, bones, the way the bones are structured. In the physical world, everything is very structured. Everything has a structure. Everything goes according to the rules. The human being, I must say, is the king of trying to kind of not disobey, but kind of defy the rules of the physical world. And they do that in the form of creation, creating various ways that human beings can evolve, can do things that are not natural. Like, for example, the best example that comes to me is flying. Human being is not capable of flying. What did they invent? They invented an airplane. Another physical being, right? It's a material, it's an entity that can take us. It's a thing. It's an actual object. We go inside and it flies up and carries us over. And people say, I am flying, right? Do they actually fly? Are they birds? Do they have wings? No, they don't. But the idea itself is still realized, okay? So the physical world is the actual world we live in, okay? Our five senses, the way we understand the world around us. Those of you who ever watched the Pyramid of Consciousness video, again, it's open on my YouTube channel. You're welcome to watch it. It's revolutionary. But one of the parts is the reason I'm bringing it up is one of the parts actually discusses how, we understand the world around us through the five senses. This is our physical world, okay? The next world we have is the emotional world, okay? We call it the emotional world. This is the world where we, remember how we said we have five senses? So the way we describe our world can be done through emotions. We can describe our world through the physical description, right? Like what I mentioned. I take my hand, I put it down, I feel my hands, the sole, my palm resting on my paper. That's a physical description. And then we can also describe the world through the emotional description, right? When we figure out, what do I feel? How do I feel? Why do I feel sometimes, right? All of this is the way we have emotional. It's interesting that the emotional world is situated right next to the physical. Why? Because it's the closest way we can, describe something that doesn't fully fit within the physical world, but we can still feel it and understand it. If you take your hand and you put your other hand, you don't put it right on top, you're not touching it, but you bring it very, very close. Bring it very close and breathing in and breathing out. get still for a few seconds. And now you're going to feel your hand, this bottom hand is going to feel the this hand. You're going to feel, it's called the aura, right? It's called personal space, right? People who travel in public transportation, right? I'm from New York City, so I know what that's like. A lot of time people traveling in public transportation, what do they say? Somebody was in my space, or somebody got too close to me. Somebody got into my personal space, right? But again, this is an amazing, trying to figure out your aura, trying to look at your aura is an amazing way. And that would be the indication, that would be the sample of seeing or feeling your emotional world. The next world we have coming up, the third wall from the bottom up, this is a mental world. Okay. The mental world is the world where our thoughts reside. Okay. And if the emotional world, we were having some kind of physical understanding, right? Like when I mentioned that exercise where you bring your hand closer, but you're not touching, you still feel it. That's close to the physical world. The mental world is quite far away from the physical world, okay? We cannot see our thoughts. We don't know how they work. Thank God nowadays, with the advancement of medicine, with the advancement of psychological studies, we understand neurological studies. We understand the way the brain looks, right? The physical structure of the brain. We understand the way the brain operates, right? We understand all the little nuisances of the brain. And again, from a psychological point of view, we even understand what and how we can do to start understanding our thoughts, to start like kind of seeing, hearing, so to say, our thoughts, to start bringing our thoughts into this world, okay? Into kind of bringing it down, making sense of things, right? In our world, especially in the Western world, we kind of, everything we experience, we try to make sense of it within the mental world, okay? How does it relate to me? Why is it important to me? Do I need to pay attention to this? Why am I excited or the opposite, sad about it, right? All the three worlds kind of interact together, okay? I touch something, I can tell you, oh, I feel happy or I feel sad or I feel strange about it. And then I try to make sense of why do I feel that way, okay? So all three worlds are naturally, I would say, involved within the human way of living, okay, within the human living experience. The last world is the spiritual world, okay? The last world is the spiritual world, okay? The spiritual world is the world where we call it spiritual because this is where our soul resides, okay? This is the most mystical part of being a human being, okay? Of living in the world, of having a physical life experience. Because if you ask a human being, what is soul? What is the spiritual world? Some people call it God. Some people would call it the universe, right? Some people, universe, by the way, is more like a scientific way of like saying, something out there that's bigger than us, right? Something out there that's way high above us. We have no direct access to this world, right? Only by procession. Notice it's on top of the mental world, right? So you would think naturally by procession, first going into emotional, the mental, then you can reach your soul, your God, right? In Hebrew, there's a word, nishama. One of my children did this when she was in pre-K, in preschool. She came home and she said, Mama, do you know that, we have a soul? And I said, yes. And she said, God lives in our soul. And I said, how so? It's interesting. And she said, in the Jewish tradition, people don't pronounce the name of God, the name of the Almighty, the way it's brought in within the Bible, the Old Testament, the Torah, and people refer to the name of God as Hashem. Okay, Hashem literally means, you probably heard like some religious Jewish people say, Hashem. Say the word Hashem a lot. Hashem literally means, in translation, the name. Okay, the name. Okay, so what they're saying is that we're referring to that Almighty's name without actually saying it, because it contains such powerful energy within. We kind of like want to protect it. without revealing it too much, okay? And my daughter said, you know, Hashem lives in our soul, because the word soul in Hebrew is neshama. So the word Shem is similar, right? The root word Shem is the same. So kind of the name of God lives within our soul, right? That's why I put the word God here. When Jung, right? Jung was one of the forefathers of psychology. When he was, he's credited with highly developing analytical psychology. I am actually currently reading a lot of Jung literature, studying, you know, his archetypes and everything. He's fascinating. It's amazing the way he opened up, you know, this world, which he actually calls the subconscious or like superconscious world. You know, it's considered to be analytical psychology, which has to do with the mental world, but really he goes further here. He actually called this world the drive or the absolute, okay? Those of you who are like familiar or, you know, even heard this within the Neurographica language, we call this world the drive or the absolute, okay? So now we live in the four worlds, okay? Now it's interesting to know that, 1 second. Okay, just want to see if anybody's leaving any questions or any messages. You're welcome to leave any questions or messages or any comments you want under my video. If you have a question and pending as to what we're teaching, you're welcome to do that. I wanted to tell you, okay. Yeah, so it's interesting to note that, okay, there you go, that in the Kabbalistic study, the four worlds have, you know, are accounted for. And of course, the Kabbalistic name, the Hebrew name for the worlds are, the bottom world is Asiya, right? The top word is Yetzirah, Ria, and the last world is Atzilut, okay? Some of you may know it, you know, some of you have actually taken the course with me called NeuroSpherot. It's a combination of the Kabbalistic Sphirot with the Neurographica, and I discuss the world in there also in details. That's actually available in pre-recorded format. If any of you are interested, welcome to contact me, PM me. I will be glad to sell you that whole course. It's a fascinating course. So now let's figure this out, okay? We live in the four worlds, okay? And as we're talking, as I mentioned before, the next sessions, we're actually going to discuss more structurally about, you know, what are the tasks, what have I started this past year, what do I want to close, and what do I want to take and continue to the new year. But today we're kind of discussing on a, you know, kind of super conscious or spiritual level. What's happening with us? You know, before we go to the physical structure, let's try to figure out things from here, from this point of view, so we understand how we can reach each other, you know, how we can make changes and bring changes to all four worlds, to all four structures of who we are as a person. By the way, the person is the entity of all four of this, okay? You can draw the person as this oval person. If you have more space, you can make it a circle. It's up to you. But it has to be like a circle or oval kind of shape. And here's what I want to bring to you. Another amazing practice. Some of you, again, may be quite familiar with it. To me personally, it's one of my favorite practices. We call it Hooponopono. Okay. Just because the structure of this classroom does not allow me to go into depth about this beautiful, beautiful, amazing method, I will give you a quick kind of intro. But coming in September, I'm actually planning to start a whole course, a whole series of sessions about Hooponopono. I myself am am a certified advanced Hooponopono practitioner and facilitator. I use Hooponopono within my coaching sessions. I use Hooponopono a lot within my personal life. I find it to be very relevant, very transformational, and it's truly, truly amazing the way Hooponopono can bring changes within your life in a very quick way, okay? Let me tell you a bit about Hooponopono. For those of you who don't know, most of you probably heard about it in one way or another. So Hooponopono is a Hawaiian-based practice. It was originally brought by Joe Vitale. You probably heard of him. He wrote books about the law of attraction. He talks a lot about clearing techniques. I bet you, yesterday I was mentioning Joe Vitale when I was talking to somebody, and what do you know? I go to my Facebook and Google right away. It gives me all the ads about Joe Vitale, okay? I actually took almost all of his courses, so I was like, okay. But it's interesting to note, so if you hear me talking about Joe Vitale, just watch out, you're gonna have Google ads related to his courses. And I do highly advise you guys taking his courses. He's amazing. The way he brings things, the way he explains things. He was the first one who wrote a book, and he tells a story of a friend of his calling him and saying, Joe, you like to write interesting stories, you know, about like kind of supernatural kind of looking events. And he said, sure. And he said, you know, there is a psychiatrist in Hawaii who healed a whole world of mental prison of mental patients, inward mental inmates, you know, who are mentally unstable. You know, so this is kind of prisoners who are not just like regular criminals, like high offender criminals, like killers and stuff like that, and you know, sexual offenders, but actually they're also considered to be mentally unstable. So that's like a serious like institution, okay? And he describes, you know, how the tables, like the furniture in that place, in that institution, is actually kind of affixed to the floor, okay? So nobody would be able to overturn it or anything. So it's a really like serious place, okay? It's a psychic word, but again, it's for inmates. And as this guy comes in and he heals, you know, the psychic word is closed up. And Joe is listening to it and he's like, it is some kind of urban legend. You're saying Hawaii, is it some kind of like myth? You know, it's like, sounds not very realistic. So sure enough, Joe Vitale starts researching the story. He starts finding out, he finds out that there was a hospital. It's true, there was like a psychiatric ward with inmates and everything. And it did closed up. He started seeing, you know, this year it was operating and this year it was closed. He started figuring out who was operating, you know, who was the last psychiatrist. He finally finds this person. His name is Dr. Hulen, right? And he calls him up and he says, I want to learn about this story that involves you. And Dr. Hulen tells him the story about how he starts working as a psychiatrist in this institution. And he starts using the method called Hooponopono to bring kind of resolution or kind of to cleanse or to heal all of the inmates. And Joe Vitale is listening, but of course, you know, as enlightened as he is, as profound as he is, there's many different practices. He's still like a Western person, and he's still a little skeptical, or maybe at that point a lot. And he started asking, what do you mean? What is Hooponopono? And Dr. Hulen starts talking about Hooponopono. Hooponopono, he says, is a method, is an ancient Hawaiian tradition. You know, this is when Hawaiians used to live in tribes. This is how people would heal or resolve any issues they have, right? Say two families had an issue. They would come, they would sit next to each other, and the head of the tribe, some people refer to it as a shaman, some people say it's actually the chief of the tribe, would sit their families down, and they would say certain phrases to each other, and that's how they would like kind of mend, you know, kind of build the relationship back, kind of make up, you know, start fighting. And that would happen with everybody. If anybody had a fight with somebody, they would come and say, it's like they would come to a psychologist who is a head chef, who's the head of the tribe at the moment, and they would say a series of phrases. And those phrases would help them mend the relationship, would end up kind of heal that relationship. So Joe Vitale says, what are the phrases, And Dr. Hooponopono lists the phrases. There are 4 major phrases. Thank you. I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Okay? And this can go on nonstop, by the way. Okay, you say, thank you, I love you. People say to each other, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And then once, and then again, thank you, I love you. And they kind of say to each other. Okay, so it's a reciprocal. Okay, it kind of has to make sense. Okay, person says thank you, and that person accepts that thank you. Person says I love you, and says, I love you too, or I thank you too. Says I'm sorry. The person says I understand, I accept, or I can see. The person says please forgive me, and the other person answers back and says I forgive you. Of course, this can be done on a deeper level, which is what I usually use within my coaching practice. Where people actually discuss why they love somebody, why they're thankful to somebody, why they feel sorry about something, why they're asking for forgiveness. And the other person would respond, or, it's working within oneself. When I discovered this, when I read this, I started researching it. And yes, I found out that these phrases also have space and place within the Kabbalistic teachings, okay? Basically, when I remember reading it, it's simple phrases, but if you think about it, if you read them, if you start practicing them, you will understand that this is the backbone of a human relationship. This is how human people operate, whether it comes with each other, whether it comes with oneself, with one's soul, with one's spiritual being, with understanding. How does one, we call it in psychology, when you talk with your inner child, right? You can use the phrases. Again, the phrases are magnificent. They're very deep, they look simple, and that's good that they look this simple because they're very easily accessible to anybody. I tell to my clients, translate the phrases into your home language, into your language, the way you think, the way you understand the world, the way you talk to yourself. And this is how you can, kind of fully internalize this practice. I personally do this practice on a daily level, on like anything comes up. I wake up in the morning, I say the morning prayer, and then I say the phrases, because this brings me to harmony. This kind of harmonizes. What Dr. Hooponopono explains is that this cleanses this out. This cleanses out all of you, it cleanses out you on many different levels. There's a lot of deep, again, explanation as I'm going to present to you the Hooponopono course. It's going to come up soon. In September, I'm planning to. It will give you the deep explanation about how each phrase, how does it react, how does it work on a psychological level, on a physical level, on the emotional, on the mental level, and of course on the spiritual level. What I'm offering for you guys to do now is to start using these phrases. As remember, we said the significance of number 4. This is what I'm, as we are entering the month of renewal, of completion, of cleansing. That's another way what we do. Another thing that we do during Elul. During Elul, we are getting ready for the beginning of the new year. And in Judaism, we call it the high holidays, the most holiest holiday, right? After Rosh Hashanah, which again, this year starts in September 6th. 10 days later, on September 16th, we have the holiest day in the Jewish calendar called the Yom Kippur, okay? Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the holiest day, and it's the highest holiday in the Jewish calendar. On that day, just give you one explanation. On the day, everybody wear white. Why? Because they're signifying the spiritual essence of being not just clean, but rather being pure, pure like angels, It's like the day when the soul gets regenerated, gets renewed, and you kind of get a new start, like a new beginning. Isn't that amazing? Think about it. When every year, you start kind of, it's like saying, whatever happened in the past, just letting it go. And from now on, you're starting anew. Your life starts anew. It's like you were just born. No, nothing happened, you can bring your accomplishments with you, but you can also leave whatever you were not comfortable, whatever happened in your life you're not happy about, you can just leave behind and just get a new chance at like starting anew. And what this practice of Hooponopono does is you can do this on an everyday level. Every day by saying the practices, you kind of cleansing yourself and you're starting anew. You're starting bringing yourself, kind of living yourself from the new slate, so to say. And what I'm going to offer for you now is we're going to start writing the phrases within the four worlds. And then we're going to start adding the neural lines to start bringing this process into the transformational kind of stage. Based on my experience, now the phrases you can say in any order, in any procession, right? That you can say twice, thank you, I love you, I love you. You can start with I'm sorry, right? I was discussing with a client and she told me, like, let's say she was doing something and her son was passing by. She was telling me, right, how she got to a different insight of that using within her everyday life. And she said, my son was passing by and I kind of turned around and I hit him. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, honey, please forgive me. And then she said, automatically, because she'd been practicing this, we'll be practicing for a number of times. She said, automatically, the words came out of my mouth. I said, I'm sorry, honey, please forgive me. And then I said, and the son said, yes, of course, mommy. And she said, I automatically told him, I love you. Thank you for forgiving me. I love you. It's so interesting to see that these phrases can be used in any direction, in any order, and they will still fulfill the major premises. The cleansing, Dr. Hulen says, this is how your soul cleanses, your biological cells cleanse, and also your aura. You cleanse the aura with the phrases, okay? So I personally find that this procession, this order of phrases kind of builds upon each other, because you always can say, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry. Because the first thing you always want to say to somebody is thank you, thanking somebody for being in that person's environment, being together. Then you can say, I love you, right? Very powerful. All four phrases, by the way, on their own are extremely powerful, but together they're like this super powerful, right? What is it? Fabulous Four or something. There's that movie, right, about superheroes, the four of them gathering together, something like this, right? Now, as we have and the Elul, the month of Elul started last Monday. And I'll be honest with you, this is my month. This is the month I was born in. If you talk about a horoscope wise, okay, it's the month of Virgo, right? So what is Virgo, right? Virgin, another way to call it is a virgin, or somebody who is pure, somebody who is clean, somebody who is, just constantly cleansing and constantly renewing and constantly pure. And that's the purpose of this month that we're trying to achieve, right? We're trying to get into the pure state. So when the high holidays come, when we are entering the new year, we're kind of completely pure. We got rid of everything that's like all the baggage, that's kind of carried us behind. And we are starting anew fully, like a baby, clean conscious, nothing holding us behind, closure to everything that we started and we don't want to continue, and accepting, this is very important, accepting the accomplishments that we have achieved, okay? And you can do your own procession, but just for the sake of the session, I would like to invite you to do it in the order that I'm doing it. So in the physical world, it's very important. We're going to say to each other, we're saying to everyone and everything around us, thank you. Gratitude, expressing gratitude, right? There is a book called, I think, The Morning Magic, or The Magic of the Morning, where The author, it's a famous book. It's like one of high-selling books, booksellers, bestsellers, as they call it. And the author says that when you wake up, what you do is you express gratitude. You start doing it every single day. You will see miracles in your life. In the Jewish tradition, every morning we wake up, we put our hands together like this, and we say, like this, but going upwards, and we say, thank you, God, for giving me my soul back. So now I can continue my mission in life. I can continue doing that something that I came to this world for. We can continue doing the deeds, the amazing good deeds. In Hebrew, we call it the Mitzvoth. The Mitzvoth, some people kind of translate it as commandments. It's a little more than a commandment. It's kind of a way of life. So the rules or the laws about how to interact with other people, how to interact with yourself, with God, and that's what we say in the morning. We say thank you. The first thing we say in the morning is the first words. We say thank you for giving me my soul back, God. And I can continue with my beautiful day. I usually do this. I say that prayer. In Hebrew, it goes, you can repeat after me. It's a beautiful, beautiful phrase. And saying it in Hebrew will actually add that supernatural kind of sense to it. Will give you a chance to say something in Hebrew. Hebrew is the language of the Holy Bible. The very spiritual essence of the way the world works. So in Hebrew we say Modeh ani lefanecha melech v'kayam shechechezarta v'nishmati b'chamla rabba emunatecha. And again, the translation is, thank you, God, for giving me my soul back, right? Because every night we go to sleep, what happens? Our body rests, but our soul travels to other worlds, to other dimensions. That's why we have dreams, right? Because our soul goes to other worlds and trying maybe to figure things out for us, to help us understand what we need to do in order to resolve whatever, issue, whatever task we have that we set up for ourselves. And we say, thank you for giving my soul back so I can continue with my day. I can continue with my tasks. I can continue with my commandments, my laws, my ways of interacting with the world. So I can continue with my mission in this world. And one other translation, different ways to translate, because in Hebrew, the words have one word can have many various meanings. Another word would be, thank you for trusting me or giving me your trust, believing that I can complete whatever you set out for me, whatever challenge you give me, I believe I can complete it throughout this day. And it's a beautiful, beautiful prayer, beautiful mantra, even you can say it. Some people don't necessarily relate to the world and, they have different understanding of what God is. A lot of people told me that, God sounds very like from their childhood, they were like scared, God sounds like this old man with a huge beard and, who's very strict, right? So in that case, if you're not so comfortable with the world, God, you can just say the universe, right? You can just understand that this is a mantra, this is an affirmation. It's just the words that will make sense and will make a difference in your world, okay? So that's thank you. We thank somebody. As soon as we understand, we feel gratitude for something, we start feeling love, we start feeling reciprocation, we start understanding that this world is based on love. And we say, I love you. I love you. We start talking about love. We start talking about how to, when you're thankful to somebody, you also feel, when you're grateful to somebody, you also feel love. Love is a backbone of the way we live in our world, right? Love is what the world is based on, right? What is that famous song called? Love is All We Need, right? By John Lennon, right? Beautiful song, right? I love you. As soon as you say that, your heart opens up. You open up that chakra of love, that chakra is an energy center or an energy vortex, right? You open up that heart of yours. You start giving love and you start opening yourself to receive love, receive opportunities, receive understanding how you can function in this world with love, with understanding, with interest. Love is what keeps you kind of alive, right? You hear all those stories, as children grow up, I have children and I read stories with them, and love is the basic premise of every story. Expressing love to one another, right? Love between human beings is the highest love. And remember when we talked about the Song of the Songs? It's a poem about love. It's a poem about love between a God and a human being and a person. And one can say the person is looking for God, in search of God within their life. Some people can also say that it's expression of God's love, and God is looking for a human being too. God is looking to connect with each person, with each love, with each entity, with each human, with each human being. And that's what it is, and that's done through love. So I love you is a beautiful, beautiful phrase. Often after we say thank you and I love you, as we grew up in the society where we're often told that you need to do things this way and you need to do things that way, and we're called, we constantly told that something we're doing wrong, and you need to improve the way you're doing things. So often after you say thank you and I love you, your mind automatically, by the way, this happens automatically at this point, starts giving you, on a psychological level, it's called the ego, is trying to kind of prevent you from like changing, transforming too much. And the mind is going to start telling you, you did something wrong too. You're not perfect. And that's kind of a resistance within us trying to stop us from growing. And in that case, we say, okay, whatever happened, it's happened. I'm sorry. Joe Vitale talks about this phrase, and he says a lot of people have an aversion to this phrase. A lot of people say, when I say I'm sorry, I feel like I did something wrong. What should I be? And some people get very defensive. And they're like, why am I saying sorry? I didn't do anything wrong. And he gives an example when you go to the store, right? You're passing in the aisle and you accidentally kind of hit somebody or like kind of shoulder somebody, right? What do you say? Do you like ignore them, walk in? Most of the time, people would turn around and say, I'm sorry, my apologies, right? Now, does it mean you did something wrong? You owe that person something? You need to like kind of sit down and say, please, please, please forgive me. No, but you kind of acknowledge the fact that you inadvertently, accidentally kind of maybe hurt that person, and you right away make amends and you say, I'm sorry, my apologies, right? And same thing here, he says, this doesn't necessarily mean that you did something wrong to somebody, right? But constantly in life, this is how we grow up, right? We grow up thinking that maybe, we grow up being reprimanded that we did something wrong and we need to do right. And our mind often focused on the fact that we did something wrong, okay? And yes, sometimes we change things, we apologize for something, doing something wrong to somebody, but often our mind or our emotions remember it. And this is a good way, just saying, I'm sorry, just taking it out there without necessarily giving, sitting down and attaching something to it, will clear out all the hurt, all the kind of feeling of guilt that one may have within itself, right? So that would be, just a general way of saying, I'm sorry. Yeah, sometimes I did something, I did something once. I really didn't mean it. I'm sorry. And this is great because you don't have to actually go into that specific incident, because that can be a traumatic experience for you. You don't need to do this. Just by saying, I'm sorry, will kind of clear things up for you, okay? And in the coaching practice, by the way, we use a deeper version of this where we actually discuss, what are you thankful for? What do you love? We take a specific instance, a specific task that we're trying to achieve, and we start figuring out, what are you thankful for here? What do you love about it? What do you want to be, what do you love? Then what are you sorry? Is there something that's holding you back, right? In Neurographica, we call it limitations, inner limitations, right? Neurographica, the very first thing people learn when they come to learn Neurographica in the basics course is the algorithm for removing limitations. right? Right now, I'm actually carrying out a practice group where we are drawing ARL for 21 days. Can you imagine? 21 days. We are drawing a picture where we remove our inner limitations. It's truly, truly amazing. It's very significant. And it's, going through all the layers like here. And of course, every time you say, I'm sorry, what follows is, please forgive me. Okay? Please forgive me. Saying sorry is, you can say I'm sorry, but saying sorry is acknowledging that, oh, I think I did something wrong. I acted something wrong. But saying please forgive me is actually owning up and opening yourself up to being, and this is very, very touchy, very sensitive, because you kind of open up yourself to kind of either being forgiven by the person or not. But this act of opening yourself up is what makes you stronger. It's what gives you this backbone to understand that, yeah, I can do this. I have, I am thanked. I love, I give gratitude. I feel love. Yes, I feel remorse about something, and I ask for forgiveness. Just asking for forgiveness is really the highest state you can reach, because it's allowing yourself to be cleansed out. That other person, or it could be your inner child, can either forgive you or not. But even if that person doesn't forgive you, you did the most important job. You said the words, please forgive me. In Judaism, we say that actually during the month of Elul, we actually sit down and write all the wrongdoings we did. And we ask that person for forgiveness. And the rule is you ask somebody for forgiveness 3 times. If the first time the person says, I'm still mad at you. The second time you ask again, and the person may say, I don't know, I still feel very apprehensive about it. The third time you ask again, and that's now that person's choice whether to forgive you or not. That's going to be on their conscious, it's going to be their energy, so to say. It's going to be within their world, because you ask 3 times and you kind of cleanse yourself. 3 times saying, please forgive me, by the way, the hardest words, right? I have a children's book that's called The Hardest Words, and that's please forgive me. It takes a lot of guts. It takes you 3 steps to get there. It's not easy. Once you do it, it can start cleansing. You can remember how we talked about that energy that gets stuck within the project that's not completed. Same thing happens when there is something happen where there is some kind of, discontent. Saying, please forgive me, will kind of cleanse you out, will kind of clear up, and it will clear up the energy. You will restore the energy you need to carry on and do something else in life, okay? These words are very important, okay? Please forgive me. And when you say the 4 phrases now, different ways to say it, you can say them quickly. You can say them by breathing in and out between each phrase, And of course, you can say it on a deeper level, but actually attaching meaning to each phrase, as it relates to you right now, to where you are, to your situation. Again, I'm going to lead a course in Hooponopono. Everybody's invited to join. It's truly an amazing course where I will explain deep, the backbone, the way the practice works, and how we can utilize it within our personal practice as well as actual professional. If any of you are in the helping profession and you would like to utilize it, I will be offering a possibility to use it within your professional training practice. Now that's interesting. The Hooponopono phrase has 4 major phrases. Now, the natural procession, as we go up to the world, to the spiritual world, remember, we are physical beings. We need to come down here. The natural procession here would be, after somebody says, please forgive me, what would you say? You say, I forgive you, right? So accepting, right? And you can do this like kind of saying it to your inner self, to your inner child, saying, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And as we say that, let's draw some neural lines, right? And this is how we utilize a method of Neurographica. Neural line is a line that goes from, in this case, from bottom to up. And it's not a straight line, it's more like a wavy line, because wavy line is like a pathway. It's a human pathway. I call it the lifeline. This is how we live our world, right? Our life is not a straightforward line. You know, you don't see right away ahead of you what's happening. They're always like twists and turns, and you go around and around. And that's how our life works, okay? And this is the neural line. And then we're going to take another neural line, and we're going to, kind of add, let's add a few neural lines. When we add neural lines to our shapes, to our graphical symbols on the paper, we kind of infuse our own soul within it, our own life. It's important when you draw neural lines to breathe in and out, to breathe in and out. Actually feel yourself entering all four worlds, right? And you can say it out loud. Slow. Now I'm going to draw this line very slow as I'm going to say each word and do the breathing in between. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. As you say that, you can just get quiet a bit. And as we're going to go back, I want you to go through each line, kind of repeating it. And as you get to the intersection, we're going to do the rounding technique. Those of you who are familiar with Neurographica, the rounding technique, you know what the rounding technique is. Those of you who are not, just kind of a quick explanation. Every intersection, everywhere where the lines intersect, we have four corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. What we do in Neurographica to bring harmony, we call this the rounding process. To explain it a bit further, each rounding is a potential circle. A circle is a symbol of harmony. A circle is a symbol of care and comfort, okay? That's what we do in Neurographica. We bring harmony, we bring rounding, okay? So you go through all of your intersections and you round it out exactly how I showed it to you. If you actually want to learn more Neurographica, more details, learn this in like depths, you're welcome to join us. Right now, we're actually having the basics course, the first level of learning Neurographica. And we just had the first session past Sunday. We have it in recording available. And the second session will take place this coming Sunday on the 22nd. So today is Wednesday. You guys have plenty of time. You can watch the first video and just join us for the second session. And you will be well versed within this beautiful language that's called Neurographic. It's a great transformational method that you can use in anything. Now, meanwhile, as we're going, right, as we are rounding and repeating, kind of going over, drawing over this line that we already drew once again, to make them bolder, to make them kind of more visible, we are going to say some phrases that correspond to what we said here, okay? When somebody says, please forgive me, right? What do you answer? The way you answer, the way you accept forgiveness is you say, I forgive you, right? And this is what you're going to say to yourself, right? As you're talking to your inner child, you say, I forgive you, or you can say, I forgive myself. Now, this phrase has a lot of meaning. This is actually brought in by Joe Vitale himself. As you say, I forgive myself, you're referring to the self, the Jungian self, the self that's a sum, the sum of all of who you are, the sum of your physical world, your emotions, your body, your emotions, your thoughts, and your soul. All of it. Remember, you are not what your thoughts are or what your body is or what your emotions are. They're just a part of who you are. But that's not, your whole self. When you say, I forgive myself, you forgive your whole being. Okay. You can even say it like this: I forgives myself. In this, I often say differently, not I say God, God forgives myself, right? For religious people, you can say the universe forgives myself. This is a great way to kind of bring, not just saying, please forgive me and then leave it hanging, but actually receive forgiveness. This is what makes it so powerful, so transformational. You can say that. You can say, the universe forgives myself, or I forgive myself, But again, referring to the bigger self, not myself, like, do I think about, oh, what do I want to reach? What do I want to do today? But rather your huge being, you're all of it, your past, your present, and your future. Okay. And then as we go to the next circle, right, as we are going to, again, go over the lines, kind of like this, and round out all of the intersections. What can you answer? When you say first, I forgive myself, the next thing you want to tell yourself, remind yourself that, it's like a child, right? Any of you heard of those David books written by David Shannon? If you didn't, just go to the store or the library, just look up that book. It's a children's book about a boy named David, and he constantly does certain things. He's a little boy. He's a very active little boy, right? He plays baseball in the house. He makes a bit, he brings out all his toys in the room and doesn't always clean up. When he eats, he puts all the food in his mouth. He's a very active young child, really, it's a whimsical book. It's a hilarious book. My kids love reading it. I love reading it. It kind of gets you in touch with, what a child is. Just this, this being that doesn't have, what do you call that, responsibility or something. So they live freely. And this boy constantly does things, like I said, playing baseball in the house, and he breaks the window, doesn't clean up, and does things. But at the end of the story, right, as all activities build up, at the end of the story, his mother, at one point, let's say breaking the window in the house by playing baseball, his mother gets upset at him and says, just go in your room in timeout, right? And go think about your actions. And he thinks about action. The book always, there are a few books, a series of books on No David. It's called No David. At the end, he always comes back, and there are a certain procession, right? He says, I'm sorry, Mom. And the mommy hugs him and says, I forgive you. I love you. Okay. So after we receive forgiveness for ourselves, it's time to give, to kind of to express love to ourselves, to remind ourselves that, things happen. We still love, right? That's like how parents love their children. Yes, sometimes they remind them that children do something wrong, right? But overall, all the obstacles always kind of clear up. And the ending is always, I love, and you can say it this way, myself. Okay? I love myself. Okay? Saying this phrase really brings a great transformation to who you are, to yourself. Again, clearing up the energy that was probably stuck in somewhere. Okay. Again, there's no need to go into the traumatic experience, because that's not very healthy. I've been studying trauma. I actually created a trauma release workshop using Neurographica method. It's an amazing, amazing workshop where I use Neurographica together with some other important transformational practices. And I definitely, and one of the things that trauma therapists tell you, you don't necessarily need to go into trauma. It's actually not very healthy to do that, because the person can get stuck, kind of reliving in the loop of the traumatic experience. But it is important to say things that will help you kind of release that trauma. And the words, these phrases are very trauma release. They release the traumatic experience hidden within the subconscious of a person, okay? And if first you say, I forgive myself, then you say, I love myself. The third time, when you say that, just kind of close your eyes, breathing in and breathing out. You start thinking, what is the resource you gain? What is this feeling that you're having? You get the resource, you get some kind of feeling, some kind of maybe thought, some understanding. What is it that you need within this part of your life, within where you are now, to continue further with your life? And then this kind of part, you can say a series of interesting magical phrases. You say you accept yourself. Okay, remember, when we say I forgive you, and when we say we love you, we give people more than just love and forgiveness. We give acceptance. And at this point, you can say magical phrases like this. I'm aware and I acknowledge all of my thoughts, right? All of my thoughts, all of my emotions, all of my body sensations, all of my body reactions, everything my body does, everything that happens within my physical world, all my emotions that I experience, all my thoughts, and I give it place and space within my mind, within my heart, within my emotions, and within my body, within my whole life. Okay? Again, kind of going through all the worlds over and over again. You can say also within my soul. Right? So this part is acceptance. Saying the accepting phrases. Okay, you can write down these phrases. This phrase came from Svetlana Gorbach. She is an amazing trainer. She lives in Ukraine. She is the creator of the program called Kesef, the Psychology of Money. I am a certified trainer, facilitator, practitioner of that game. And it's an amazing way to kind of learn how to go on with one's hang-ups about money, or how to just basically, it's a great way to bring financial success and financial growth within one's life. I practice it on a personal level, but very soon also planning this year to bring it on a group level. As again, it's a series of sessions where we learn various aspects of what holds a person back from attaining financial success, okay? So acceptance is where we are in the third level. And the fourth level is what we mentioned before, the resource. Breathing in and breathing out, think of the resource that you would like to bring into yourself. You are just underwent this amazing transformation. Something appeared within your aura, something appeared within your surrounding. If you close your eyes and you breathe in and out, you will feel it. You will feel what it is. It's a resource. And this is the level we accept that resource. Let's say, I would say, for me, it's a resource of acceptance, actually. That's my resource. It's a resource of feeling accepted. And I would even go further, and I would ask you, can you tell me what color? Now, remember, this is the physical world. The word acceptance is something we can understand on a thought level, maybe on an emotional level, of course, on a soul level, excuse me, on the spiritual level. But it's important to bring it to the physical level, to put it within the physical terms. So I would ask you, what color is that resource, right? And as I say that, you can either, just draw and talk, or you can close your eyes quickly, breathing in and out, and then continue your drawing. Remember, you continue drawing the Neurographica style, which is we're going over the neural lines, and also we're going through all of the intersections and adding a rounding technique to all of them. And as I breathe in and out, and I say, what color is that source of acceptance? I would say it's color red, okay? Which naturally will bring me, as I finish my rounding, I'm actually going to take, let me see what color it is. You know, I want the color red, actually. Red, right? Let me take my pencils. Let's see, I have a nice color red here. Here it is. Is this red? And I'm thinking, no, it's this red, okay? And I'm saying this resource is color red. And as I say that, I'm actually going to add the color red to this circle, okay? I'm going to add the color red, not just to the circle, actually to this kind of cells, to this fragments of my picture, right? So just little shapes that I created as a result of the Neurographica poem, right? And I say, color red, and then I'm going to continue, and I'm going to ask, what shape do you think it is? Right? And I'm thinking, this resource of acceptance, what shape would it be? And I realize it's a shape of square, okay? I'm actually going to draw that. I'm going to take a marker and bring in a shape of square. And here you go, square here. There's a resource shape to my picture. Okay, remember, every time you add a shape, make sure you add a neural line to it. Make sure you integrate that shape within your picture. I'm going to use actually this marker better. Okay. Okay. Breathing in and breathing out as I'm rounding. Every time you add a shape or a line, make sure you go through the intersection and round it. And I'm going to ask the next question. I'm going to say, what volume do you think it is? You know, how big it is? Not just what size, but rather like what volume it is, right? And I say, you know, volume, but volume, I mean, is it flat? Is it like, you know, 3D or is it 2D, you know? I'm thinking the resource of acceptance. It's a ball. Yeah, it's a round. Now it turned, you see, before I said it's a square, but now, nope, it's still a square. And it's 3D. Yeah, it's not flat, it's rather 3D. The next thing I'm going to ask you is, what texture is it? Okay. You can tell me, to me, it's a texture of maybe it's the form of like liquidy, maybe somewhat liquidy. Yeah, liquidy, absolutely. Then what temperature it is? And I'm going to say it's like warm, lukewarm, right? It's like cool and warm at the same time. And then I'm going to say what else do I need to? And I think we did everything, right? Yeah. So all the attributes of your resource you describe, and then you're gonna, this is a great exercise to do. Breathing in and breathing out. You can, 1 second, someone's writing something. Okay, there you go. Breathing in and breathing out, you can make this exercise. Close your eyes and imagine whatever you describe that resource, right? In my case, it's acceptance with all the attributes you describe. Imagine it like right next to you. And then breathing in and breathing out, start infusing with every breath you take. You're infusing this resource within your body. And then as you're breathing out, right, choose a body part through which you want to infuse it first. Let's say, I'm going to say my body part is my heart. So I'm infusing this resource through my heart with my breathing in. When I breathe out, this resource is distributing, integrating within all of my body parts, okay? Breathing in, taking it in, and breathing in, out, and integrating all over. All my body cells, okay? Every single cell is receiving a piece of this resource. Breathing in and breathing out, okay? And you can do this exercise, breathing in and breathing out, until you fully infuse the whole resource, that whole physical attributed resource that you described. That was a reason, by the way, why I asked you to describe it, because I want you to visualize it more, okay? Kind of bring it to the physical level, and then infuse it. As you're breathing in, you're infusing it on all levels, body level, within yourselves. You infuse it, and as you infuse it, I'm going to give you some magical more phrases you can say to kind of allow that process to fully internalize within you. Breathing in and breathing out, right? I'm going to give you a few seconds to finish your breathing in process. Breathing in and breathing out. Once you complete this process, you can say the following phrases. I'm aware and I acknowledge the resource that I just regenerated within my life. And it's a resource of, you say what your resource is. My resource is acceptance. It's a resource of acceptance. And I allow it to integrate within me seamlessly. So I can start using it within my life immediately. Every time I stop saying something, I take a break. That means you guys breathing in and out, okay? Integrating that on a breathing line. And I give it place and space within all of my being, within my mind, within my thoughts, within my body, within all of my cells, every breathing I take in and out. Within my emotions, my feelings, my heart, within all of my soul and all of my being, within my life. Breathing in, breathing out. This is a beautiful, beautiful exercise that one can do. And as we accepted the beautiful resources that we just regenerated within our world, within our life, I'm sure you'll have a different feeling, different sensation within your body. I kind of have some tingling within my fingers, within my skin, my body, my shoulders, my hands. I kind of feel this whole acceptance phrase settling in and internalizing within myself. And you're welcome to, again, maybe do this later on when I am going to put this in recording. You're welcome to watch this over and over again and just kind of note the minute, it's at the end of the session. And you can do this exercise, this practice every day. It's a wonderful practice to do on an everyday level. We're going to finish the picture. Time is coming to an end. And I'm going to finish the picture. We are going to, those of you who are, know how Neurographica works, please make sure you finish it according to all the steps of, algorithm. You add all the 7 steps, add the neural lines, add the neural lines, add the background, add the field lines, add the necessary affixing shape that you want to brought in, maybe a certain one of those shapes, one of the circles you want to bring out the most within your life now, within your maybe topic or anything else. I invite you to share your drawing in the world of Neurographica. It's a beautiful It's a wonderful group that we created, me and my partner, Margarita Miller, and we lead a series of classes in it. So welcome to join the group. It's a closed group, but you're welcome to, the name is the same as the name of this page, The World of Neurographica. You're welcome to kind of hit the join, and we'll be happy to accept. We accept everybody. We would love to see your beautiful drawing, sharing. You're welcome to share on your social media. You can hashtag us. My name is Lana Shalom. I can hashtag my name at Lana Shalom. I am on Instagram. You can hashtag the World of Neurographica. Basically, we would love to see you. If you enjoyed this session, please feel free to mention it within your social media, to tell your friends about this, to share this videos. The video will be also available on YouTube. So you're welcome to share those videos. You're welcome to tag us, tag your friends within our page, kind of invite your friends to see this. So this is a great practice, great method, both Neurographica and Hooponopono. And I'm inviting you guys to learn both of those practices, as well as many others, in depth with us, with me, Lana Shalom, with the World of Neurographica. As I said, I am going to finish my picture. So I would add a few more neural lines to kind of integrate the shapes within the picture, right? Any picture, we have the main focus objects. Then we need to add the background. So what I'm doing now is adding the background. Again, to learn more about the Neurographica method, come join us for the basics course going on right now. You're welcome to PM me, and I'll give you the details. You still have time to join. We have a session taking place this Sunday. We had one session past Sunday, and you can watch it in recordings, and this way catch up and join us for the live session this coming Sunday. We actually carry out basics courses every month on a monthly basis. And afterwards, you can actually learn how to use Neurographica within your professional setting. We teach this specialist course. We will have the specialist course this month in about next week, I believe we're starting next week or in 2 weeks. And we have the specialist course, and you can obtain your certification and start using Neurographica professionally. We do it also like on monthly or bi-monthly basis. It's a great, great opportunity. I invite you all to join, to do this. And just in generally, lots of open videos, and the channel Lana Shalom, my channel on YouTube. In this group, the World of Neurographica, you'll find right after this, actually at 12 o'clock, I'm leading the open session on the 10 principles in Neurographica. You're welcome to join us and learn more about what makes Neurographica this amazing new method that's truly, truly significant. Okay. I'm going to make the lines. And now we're almost done. I'm going to just add some field lines. Field lines are similar to neural lines. You can even go over some lines that you already added, but they're much thicker. Just give you a very quick explanation of the field lines. Again, just within the scope of this session, it's truly kind of impossible for me to fully give you more explanation, but just like this. If you go over your line, choose one of the neural lines and kind of make it thicker, okay? These lines are lines that are like stand out, okay? It's going to be a thicker line like this. Okay, the next session we are going to have will be next Tuesday at 10 a.m. You're welcome to join us. Again, it will go live streaming here on the World of Neurographica page. And of course, as usual, the replay will be available. You're welcome to watch it. You know, some people are busy, some people are working. It's a weekday. And you are welcome to watch this in recording, okay? Now, this specific course, this specific series are open sessions, and I'm inviting you as freelancers. I want to make this accessible to everybody, which is why I make it open sessions. But I'm inviting you to make a donation and kind of exchange of energy. If you enjoyed the class, enjoyed this session, you're welcome to make a donation by sending a PayPal. Any amount would be great. And just kind of an exchange of energy kind of thing, you know, where you are, if you enjoy receiving my energy, it would be a great reciprocity within the universal terms to kind of, you know, kind of give gratitude in a way of monetary payment. You can also share it. You can also, you know, maybe invite, but yeah, if you would like to donate, you're welcome to do so. I will put the PayPal link. Let me tell you. I'm going to type it up as a description to this video after, you know, I finish. But for those of you, I can tell you now, the PayPal, you can donate it to paypal.me, /Lana Shalom, okay? paypal.me/Lana Shalom, okay? So as you can see, I got to write it down. paypal.me, and then it's a slash like this, right? Lana Shalom, no space in between, okay? The only reason I wrote here is because there's no space, but there's no space. There's no, just all the letters follow each other, okay? So the last step, as we're doing the neurographic picture, I'm going to emphasize circle. I want to emphasize the circle because it says the word acceptance, and that's my resource, the resource that I gained from this session. We emphasize a shape by just going over it and making it bolder and thicker, you know. And yeah. Remember, every time you add a shape, every time you add a line, like what we did with the field lines, make sure you go through it, and any intersection that was created, you know, that became kind of sharp again, you smooth it out, you make it rounded, rounding, okay, you round it out. There you go. Breathing in, breathing out. Remember to breathe in as your body's catching up to this wonderful transformation you're undergoing, okay? Okay. And I'm going to finish, as I finish this shape, I emphasized it. I want to add more colors. I'm going to use the oil pastels. Remember, if you want to use oil pastels, always use it at the very end after you finish drawing with your marker, because once you put the oil pastels, it's going to be very hard for you to add, to draw anything with the markers on top, okay? And I'm going to emphasize the shape in the color of green because to me, even though I said originally it's red, now it became green because it's a color, you know, I guess it's together. Color of love is red. Some people can say it red. And it's also green because it's the heart chakra, right? It's this area of the heart, and it's green, you know, it's acceptance. You accept love and you open yourself up. You give love and you open up yourself for more love, okay? I love the oil pastels because it allows you to do this sensory thing of going around and kind of infusing. I'm gonna add maybe more green, you know, kind of go through my green procession. I'll go through all my coloring and kind of add the oil pastel look to it. I personally love oil pastels. Again, like I said, it gives me a chance to involve my fingers, you know, my sensory, powerful sensory integration. Okay, I add some blue. Blue is my element, the element of water, the color blue. Okay. I'm gonna, of course, add the red one, right, which was the original color of my my acceptance shape, right? Mm-hmm. And the yellow, I'm going to emphasize the yellow. My oil pastels, for those of you who are interested, because I know people often ask, what brand do you use? I use Sergeant Art. It's on Amazon. I buy most of my supplies on Amazon. I enjoy that. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to kind of expand about the coloring, right? Coloring to my surrounding. When you do the coloring, this is the fun part. There are no rules, there's no, you know, you just express yourself, just color things, you know, add the color, create some kind of, you know, this is where you can just express yourself, go crazy, create something, you know, something that you enjoy looking at. The main premises of this is to make something so beautiful that you look at it and it gives you harmony and peace and love, and you're like, just, you say, I love this picture. I love what I just created. Okay. Okay, you know, as we're almost done, right? I would like to thank you. I'm going to change my camera now. Just kind of give thanks. And I'm actually going to start a different, we're going to start the next session on the 10 principles of Neurographica. I thank you for attending this session, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching in recording. I give thanks to you. I actually want to tell you all 4 phrases, okay? Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. And I can hear back how you say that you forgive myself, you love myself. I feel acceptance coming over me, you know, this feeling of acceptance and love. And I accept all the resources that this brings to my life. Okay. My picture is almost finished. I think I'm going to add maybe 1 or 2 finishing touches, but basically this is it. I am going to say goodbye to you in person. Thank you for joining me again. Change my camera. Thank you for joining me again for this beautiful series, for this first session on the series as we learn about the month we call Elul. Okay. And today, as we learned about, you know, forgiving, loving, gratitude, acceptance, right? We're going to start next week with the Wheel of Balance. I am going to post probably the Wheel of Balance template. You can also use circular and just create your own, okay? It should be a huge circle for the whole page with, I believe, 8 or 10 sections, but I will specify, okay? Wishing you a beautiful summer day ahead, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at our other open sessions as well as certified courses. Welcome to join us. Goodbye.